This is a quick video to show you the difference between organic gardening and permaculture. The organic practices and permaculture care for the environment. Permaculture goes one step further by caring for people, because if people are not cared for, they become hungry, desperate, violent, or greedy. We all know that wars are highly destructive to the environment. The second major difference between permaculture and organic practices is the use of design. In permaculture, we design a system to grow the food, and we optimize natural energies by creating productive microclimates. We also make plans for natural succession and to reduce the losses to the system, so to reduce erosion or pollution into waterways. The third difference between organic gardening and permaculture lies in the consumption of the products. In permaculture, we aim to bring food production to the cities. We use domestic waste, convert poor soils, and in this regard, it is not guaranteed to be organic. We would like organic, nutrient-dense food right where the people live, because this reduces the energy needed to transport the food. Finally, there is a very good reason to grow food. Growing food and improving your living space so you use less energy enables you to do something practical and contribute to a positive future. People who get involved consume less, pollute less, and enjoy living simply. Here's a little cartoon showing the difference between organic gardening on the left and permaculture. You can see some visual differences here. The organic garden and the permaculture garden start off the same. The organic gardener works the soil and concentrates on making a really bountiful, productive soil. Their inputs might be organic fertilizer, organic mulch, and of course they need water. Whereas the permaculture designer is going to take longer. They're going to do a little bit of research, and then they're going to do some observations on the site. They're going to look at where's the water flowing, what's the microclimates, how do the soils differ in the different pockets around the site. Then they're going to create a design. This can take some time, quite a few steps in the design. In the meantime, the weeds might grow. Here I'm using a different type of soil conditioning. I'm using domestic waste, cardboard, which is not organic really. There's some toxic chemicals in the cardboard, and so in this regard, permaculture is not as organic. In the meantime, whilst fluffing about with the design and the planning, the weeds will probably grow. But these weeds are actually useful to the permaculture designer. They're part of our resources, and we will use them as mulch. There's a slight difference when you go to see the layout of the organic garden versus the permaculture garden. In the organic garden, there will be a preference for rows because it's easier to harvest. It's easier to monitor the rows for weeds. In the permaculture garden, we're not so concerned about getting volumes of beans. Instead, we're going to concentrate the efforts in those early stages to reduce erosion, harvest water, build better microclimates, and some wildlife habitat. But at the end of the day, both organic gardeners and permaculture people value compost. The advantages for the organic gardener is that they've got a quicker yield. It's easier to maintain, and you've got a simple and more reliable harvest. With the permaculture site, you've got a diverse yield. Weeds are part of the system, and they might be nurse plants that will then protect the next climax species. You will have plants that are self-seeding, a much wider range of products. The production is close to the consumer, usually because a permaculture garden is right there at the doorstep. It also recycles the domestic waste from the home, and it could include chickens. At the end of the day, there's a higher yield per product. For the organic gardening, there's fewer products though for the site because it's probably focusing on the production of food. Whereas in a permaculture site, we've got several additional yields such as fuel for the heating of the house or for a pizza oven, and you've also got an improved microclimate for the house itself. In the organic gardening, we've got our products ripening all at once, which is great if you want to make passata. All the tomatoes are ready. Whereas in the permaculture garden, you might only have a handful of tomatoes at a time. In the organic garden, we've got the pest control really closely monitored because things are visible. In the organic garden, you've got high management. You need somebody that goes along there and checks that things are working. Whereas in the permaculture garden, you're going to accept things won't work all the time, but you know that you have a system that is self-replicating. It's more adaptable to climate change.